if you don't get it, then get the out of Philly.
Castellanos, high fly ball, way back.
In from this side, who else? That baby Chubb.
Here's McConnell, can he get it off? Yes! Fumbles the football and the Eagles have it.
Jared McKinney making it rain.
Wayne Simmons wins it for Philadelphia.
Long drive, this game is over.
Yes, I know I am late to this, but let's just get straight into it. I know it's been a while since we've had a Philly talk, but hey man, life's been busy, man. I can't lie. Life has been very, very busy. The last time we recorded one, obviously we're talking about the Eagles being Super Bowl champs, and now look at what's happening. Opening day happened for baseball. We got so much to cover throughout all Philly sports, you know. So let's just be real quick. The Flyers, they fired Tort, and it's a really odd decision to me, just because I don't know, like the main question that I have with this firing is who's available on the current market that would be able to get more out of this group right now, you know. Like, that's the only thing confusing me, is like, I can understand maybe wanting to fire him, but it's like, who's available on this current market that you feel is going to get more out of this group during this rebuild, you know? Like, I don't know. It's a very odd decision to me, but you know, they're just stuck right now in a way. Like, I don't know. It's difficult to really like describe where this team is right now, but it's like, it's weird. Like, there's a lot to be hopeful about, but yet I don't know. It's like you're questioning what decisions are going to be made, you know. So very confusing times there. But looking past that, looking at the Sixers, where things do not get any better, only thing I have to say is keep losing them games, boys. Just keep losing them games. Don't let OKC get that pick. I will be so angry if you let OKC get that pick. They've just been terrible. They've had injuries. I don't like, Paul George is out, Embiid is out. I don't even remember if Maxey has been playing or not. Like, that's how bad it's been, that like I don't remember if Maxey's out or not. I think he is, right? Obviously Jared McCain's out. Let's see. Maxey did not play in Wednesday's game against the Wizards. So I think Maxey is healthy, but let me see. He was out for a bit. He's been back, but he barely played in that March game. He hasn't played in a while. He hasn't played since the 3rd of March. So he hasn't played in quite some time, which you might as well basically say they've shut the man down. They've just been trying their best to tank. But hey, there's some like bright pieces like Quentin Grimes, Jared Butler, like these guys getting playing time now. They've been looking pretty good, and it just makes you kind of like excited in a sense that you have a lot of these young guys, and it makes you think of like next season, where you're just like, man, you know, this team could be fun to watch in the sense of watching a lot of young guys come into their own, especially because, like, you know, guys like Grimes and Butler could lead that second unit, while like Maxey and McCain lead the first unit, like the starters. People keep talking about trading Paul George in the offseason, trading Embiid, but it's like, I don't know if you're going to be able to find suitors, you know, especially with their injury history and their contracts especially. So who knows what happens there. But the only thing I have to say is just keep losing them games, you know, keep losing them games. And that's all you can ask for. Season's going to be over soon. And, you know, hopefully we can draft someone and hopefully just, I guess, restart this team once again, you know. Looking at the Eagles, BG retires. We knew it was coming, but BG retires. One of the greatest Eagles to ever do it. Saw people talking about, is he a top 10 Eagle? Top 10. That man is probably a top 5 Eagle. 2-time Super Bowl champion. Literally one of the best stories to come out of Philly. You know, just an amazing story about patience, you know, and about how like sometimes you just need to be put into the right system to succeed, you know, to be put in the right scenario and environment to succeed. Just shout out to one of the GOATs, man. The last Andy Eagle. He is now retired. There's no more Eagles from the Andy Reid era. Very sad, but now all the only one that's left is Lane. Thankfully, he resigned. He resigned for at least 2 more years, I think. I don't know. But that gives us time to find his replacement and to have him mentor his replacement like we did with Kelsey. Let's see. The Chauncey Gardner-Johnson trade. I don't know. Still to this point, it doesn't really make sense to me. It's like they're trying to do so much of this saving money, but like for what I know what reason. They have all these extensions coming up. Like, you know, you're gonna have to extend, you know, Jalen Carter, Nolan Smith, Jordan Davis, and Kobe Dean, like all these different guys. You're gonna have to extend them. You gotta think down the line for when you have to extend Q and Coop and even Reed, you know. So like they're doing all this with in mind, but like I don't know, this trade, it's like the money you save from this Chauncey Gardner-Johnson trade, really is it really worth that much to let this guy walk? He just added something different to the team, you know. He brought that swagger, he brought that energy, and he brought that mentality, you know. Like there was such a key difference in the 2022 team and the 2024 team compared to that 2023 team that was clearly missing this guy's influence, you know. So it very much is sad to see. I'm not too high on Kenyon Green, but hey, Stoutland University can hopefully get the best out of him like they did with Becton. And speaking of that, so many guys just walked. That first day of free agency, I was at work and I went on break and like boom, Josh Sweat signed away. Milton Williams gone. Oren Burks. There was a whole bunch of names. Obviously, Becton signed later, but so many of these names just started signing, and it kept happening to me. Like I would go on break during the work week, and I would see like boom, another Eagle gone. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson got traded. And I was just like, I was trying to be patient. We re-signed Zach Bond. That was the good thing. I was trying to be patient. I was like, Howie, gotta trust in Howie. And what we've seen is that after this, they've signed a bunch of low-risk free agents. They are getting a ton of draft capital from these players, signing away with other teams. But I was talking to my dad about it, and I really wish I had done a Philly Talk episode when I was, like, at the time, so I could have articulated more on it than, like, right now where I don't really remember a whole lot of what I was saying. Basically, I was like, is these past couple of drafts and free agencies kind of getting to Howie? You know, I don't want to make it seem like it's a bad thing and like I'm doubting the man, but it's like he looks at the way he had successful drafts in 2022, 2023, and 2024. He looks at low-risk free agent signings like Zach Bond, Mekhi Becton. Who else was really like a low-risk type signings? I don't know. I can't really think. Oh, Darius Slay was another name that left. But, you know, I'm looking at stuff like that, and I'm just like, is he looking at that, and is he having a lot of faith in the fact that he feels he can keep repeating that? He can keep having these really good drafts where these players on such, you know, cheap contracts pan out? Is he able to continue to sign these low-risk free agents because he knows this coaching staff can get the absolute best out of them, like Stoutland, like Vangio, you know? He's putting a lot of faith to keep repeating this, you know, and hey, I'm for it if it keeps working out, but it's like, you know, you can't be too afraid to maybe make one big move, you know, even if it costs some money, but, you know, it's going to help out this team. Maybe don't be afraid. And then that was their thing. The offensive coordinator, I believe they promoted the quarterback coach, which I don't know how to feel. One, Kellen Moore, I don't know why he chose to go sign with the Saints other than money. They always have every year a terrible cap situation. I don't know I just don't know why he would choose to return that, or not return, but like he would choose that situation over returning. And then the internal hiring of the quarterback coach, and a lot of people are going to get PTSD from Brian Johnson. I have PTSD of all the different times that we've promoted people to offensive coordinator within our system, and it doesn't work out the season after. So I am a bit worried. But, we have faith in this team. There's a lot of faith in this team to be good, to repeat. They still have a majority of their core together and still on cheap contracts. So, I have faith. Like, I was talking to a guy at work because I saw he was an Eagles fan. We were talking about, I was like, just got to have faith in Howie. I which is crazy to think because of all those previous years where we wanted him fired. But, like, he's turning around. I have faith that he can do it, Like, it's a bit like weary in a sense, like watching, because you're just like, please be making the right decisions, but like, hey, we got that Super Bowl, obviously we want to repeat, but right now we're still feeling good, and we still have a lot of faith, and the draft hasn't even happened yet. I'm very excited to see who they walk out of with this draft. Do they do any trade ups with all the picks that they're getting? It's going to be very interesting to see what happens with this Eagles team. But let's move on to our main event, because you guys, of course, know what happened. And let me just say right now, I did plan to come out with a season preview video for the Phillies. But like I said, life has been very busy. And along with that, I did that Blackpink video, and then I immediately lost motivation again, which is crazy. But let's just get right into it. And before we get right into it, let's go over my thoughts that I had before yesterday's game. Let's go into what would have been that season preview. I mean, this is still a season preview video for the Phillies, but let's go into it like as if we didn't see yesterday's game, okay? So looking at this team, I was kind of going back and forth on that meter. I don't know if you guys have seen the meme where it's like it's over and then overly confident, like going back and forth between the red and green. That was me. And the reason for that is simple. This team has star power. This team has an elite rotation, one of the very best in baseball. The bullpen has some great pieces. I mean, you got Alvarado looking like his old self in spring training. He went like 9 innings without allowing a single run. Strom is always going to be reliable for us. Kirkring has yet another year under his belt. But then, there's things to be weary of. How reliable is Jordan Romano going to be in that bullpen coming back from injury? Can we trust bullpen pieces like Tanner Banks, Joe Ross, not Carlos Ruiz, Jose Ruiz? When the stars aren't hitting, which is always very scary when the stars aren't hitting and playing like they're supposed to be, can players like Alec Bohm, Bryson Stott, Brandon Marsh, Max Kepler, can they make up for it, And that's the thing. I don't need Alec Bohm to be going for 40 home runs. I don't need Bryson Stott to be going for 25 home runs. I don't need Marsh going for 22 home runs. I don't need Max Kepler going for 25 home runs. I just need them to play to the level. I mean, obviously, would that be great if they had seasons like that? Obviously, but when I say that, I mean we have the stars that are supposed to be doing this stuff. We have Bryce Harper, Kyle Schwarber, Trey Turner, even Nick Castellanos to an extent, like the guys that are getting paid all this big money. We're relying on them to do that and for you guys to make up on the in-between, So when it's like, if they do their job and the stars don't, obviously the stars get blamed, but even when like the stars aren't hitting and they aren't hitting, like players like them, I'm not going to necessarily hold it against them, because really the stars should be the one first and foremost doing it. But when you get cases like the Mets series where guys like Bryce Harper and Nick Castellanos were doing their jobs and no one else was, that's when I can look at those players and get upset with them and be like, you guys need to be making up for it when JT, when Kyle, when Trey aren't hitting like that, like you got to be there to make up for it in those positions, especially when the best player like Harper is doing his job, or on nights when Harper and Kyle are doing their job and Trey and JT and Nick aren't doing it, then players like Bohm, Stott, Marsh, and Kepler have to step up and make up for it, So that's kind of the part where I'm worried. I'm like, are we going to be able to trust these players? So, is Bohm going to come back and look like that all-star form that he was playing at. His start, the whole thing with the injury issues. No excuses. You're healthy now, unless you're hiding anything. You're healthy now. We need you to get back to that previous form that you were having. Marsh, we need you to be reliable. We need you and Kepler to be reliable pieces in that outfield, JT's getting older. There's so many things. And then there was just so many questions. And then you got even more unfortunate news when you look Ranger Suarez starting the season on the IL, which means every 5 starts, we are now subjected to a Taiwan Walker start. In a conference and division where every win is going to matter, you can't trot out a scheduled loss like that, And like I was telling my dad, Taiwan Walker seems like a phenomenal guy off the field. You look at his interviews, he's very humble, compared to other starting pitchers. This man is like, he understands he's struggling, he's trying his best, he knows what people are expecting of him, But again, like I was telling my dad, being a good person can only get you so far, He seems like a really good guy, but he's just not doing it on the field, So it's like, you can't just keep trotting this guy out there hoping things will change. And now you're kind of forced to, because Ranger Suarez is going to start in the IL, and you can't just immediately call up Andrew Painter, But, let's get into just kind of my expectations with a lot of this team, or with this team as we head into the season. Again, I'm a bit worried, but I'm also very confident in the sense, like, I believe this team can win the division again. I believe, especially due to that rotation, they can compete with a healthy Atlanta for the division, because everyone's saying healthy Atlanta, but that's the advantage that we have at the current moment, is health. Atlanta is still waiting for Acuna to come back, I'm pretty sure, if I remember correctly. Like, I forget when they said Acuna's timetable was. Maybe he has come back, but no, I'm pretty sure they're still waiting for him. And then Strider, he's going to be limited to start this season, like, they're going to have limits on him. He's not just going to be, the Strider of old. So it's like, there's a lot of opportunity for us right now to just jump out to a sizable lead, kind of like last year. But I think the difference with last year is, I don't know, I feel like this team can avoid a slump post All-Star break like last season. Like, I really think they have the pieces to make a serious run. Like, there are a lot of people that are picking us this year, and like, for Phillies fans, obviously we've been hurt, so we're a bit wary to be confident and choose them. But like, to me, something just kind of feels different, kind of like with the Eagles. Like, there's something different this year, and I think the biggest signifier for me as we were approaching opening day was the roster. Because the way, like, I know we didn't make a lot of crazy moves in the offseason, but there's a clear difference with this team. Johan Rojas, defense is very valuable, but he's going to be starting on the bench because they want Kepler and Marsh to be the full-time bats, to really give them both a mix of offense and defense in that outfield, One of the biggest, or not one at home, we'll get to that later. Cody Clemens gets the nod. He's going to be a key bench bat for us. They have him on the bench. They're really going to hopefully prioritize pinch hitting in this season. Like, if someone's clearly struggling, you'll have a guy like Cody on the bench. You'll have a guy like Edmundo Sosa. But the biggest one to me, and I know it's not really a crazy move, but it's the fact that Rafael Marchand, is getting that nod to be on the major league roster over Garrett Stubbs. Stubbs sent down to the minor. Stubbs, again, in our case, good guy, but like I said, every win is going to matter. JT is getting older. He's in a contract year. He's getting older. Can't play as many games as catcher. Can't play, he's going to need a lot more days off. Even if he doesn't want them, he's going to need a lot more games off. And because of that, you can't trot out Garrett Stubbs for, another game or two more than he would play last year when he would sub in for JT every, like, I forget how many games he was subbing for JT, but it's like, you can't have Stubbs be that guy. You got to go with Marchand, who in his limited sample size last season was absolutely amazing. Like, that guy was playing really well. I believe, did he hit 300 last season? He had, let me see. Let me pull up his stats, because last year in 51 at bats, he was 8 of the runs scored. He had 15 hits, 3 home runs, 6 RBIs, batted .294 with a .345 on base, .894 OPS. That sounds amazing to me, right? Like, come on, 17 games, he had 15 hits, basically almost a hit every game, 4 doubles, 3 home runs, 6 RBIs, walked 3 times, only struck out 8 times in those 51 at bats. He only struck out 8 times. Like, I don't know, man. You know, like, how can you not be happy with that? You know, and I'm excited to see him in a bigger sample size, and I don't know, man. Like, I'm excited for that. Like, I know it seems like such a small thing, but I'm excited because it's like JT, like, it shows they're being serious, you know, like, they're like, yeah, we get it. JT's not going to be playing as many games. Let's go out there and actually have a catcher back there behind him. And of course, the biggest thing with Marshawn is health. You know, he's always had injury concerns, so it's like you're just hoping he can stay healthy. But if he is able to stay healthy, that is a nice backup catcher to have, because he will be able to give JT as much rest as JT will need, you know, and you can feel confident that if JT goes down for a bit of time, because remember, JT went down last season, and the only issue was Marshawn was also hurt at the time, so it's like you didn't get to use him during that one portion where JT was out for a bit of time. So, but this season, you know, hopefully if he's healthy, if JT goes down for a little bit of time, you feel a bit more confident. You're like, we can throw Marshawn in there. He'll be fine. The pitchers will be fine working with him. I mean, I remember those games where he was starting. The pitchers, you know, did just as fine. Obviously, there's a big difference compared to when you're playing with JT, which is, can I just rant for a second real quick? The Phillies traded for Jesus Luzardo, and like, I don't know, man. This is my frustration with current, like, journalism in all aspects of the world, but especially the sports world. It's like, these people aren't asking the real questions, you know, like they're asking the same old questions that you ask any free agent that comes to Philly. How are you going to play in the city? What do you think about the fans? It's like, ask the real questions. We traded for Jesus Luzardo, and not once have I seen any reporter ask Jesus Luzardo, how does he think his game is going to improve with one of the game's best callers behind the dish in JT Realmuto? No one has asked him, how does he think his game is going to improve with a catcher like JT Realmuto behind the dish calling the game for him, you know? JT Realmuto called Michael Lorenzen's no-hitter game. You know, he was the catcher for a lot of Zach Wheeler's best games, some of Aaron Nola's best games. I'm pretty sure he was there for both Nola and Rangers complete game shutouts, I think is what they had last season. Like, you have one of the best callers back there, and like, no one has asked Jesus Luzardo about that, you know, at least from what I've seen. I haven't seen anyone ask him how does he think his game is going to improve with a catcher like JT behind the dish helping him out. But rant aside, I'm very excited by that move for Marshawn to get the nod. And like again, they didn't make crazy moves last, but like, moves like that signify stuff, you know. And like, to me, it really shows like they know they have that chip on their shoulder, you know, and they just want to get it over with, you know. They know that this city wants a ring. They know that this city expects more of them. And that's kind of why I believe that we can make another run and actually come out this time, you know. Like, they know what is expected. They know what they want, you know. And it's giving me not necessarily the same vibes, because I mean, this Eagles team this past season was just different, you know. They were different. They were playing with another level of intensity. They were playing with another level of, like, I don't even know how to describe the way this Eagles team played this year, but like, there was just something different where you were just like, they want this more than anyone else. I don't get full vibes like that from this Phillies team just yet, but I do. I'm feeling a little bit of it, and that's why I said it kind of feels different this year. Like, they felt that loss of the World Series, and they felt that loss of the NLDS, or the NLCS, but I don't know. After this Mets loss, I think they're really feeling it, because they were like, we were one of the best teams in baseball. We had one of the best records, and we just broke down in the second half and broke down in the playoffs. It's like, it feels like that was almost more hurtful to them then the World Series loss, then the NLCS loss. Like, I think in terms of how you would rank it, I know a lot of people would think differently, but like, I think in terms of like, I think it literally goes maybe in that reverse order of like NLDS, NLCS, World Series, because like World Series, last team in the playoffs, Cinderella team. Basically, it's like you're okay with the fact that you lost because you're like, man, we weren't even really supposed to be there. Like, we were terrible. We had to fire our head coach, and then we just barely made the playoffs. The NLCS loss to the Diamondbacks was there's a lot of pain because you're like, again, you're one of the top teams. You really should have beaten them. You had all the chances to beat them and you didn't. But like that Mets one is even greater because it's like you were one of the best teams. You were competing with the Dodgers for that first seed for the longest time, and then you just collapsed and all that. So it's like there's a lot of pain behind it. So it's like, I don't know. I just feel like it's been building up since that World Series loss. And like a lot of people saying, the window, at least for this current core, is closing. Like, they can do a lot of retooling, like if they lose, let's say, Kyle and JT, and let's say even like they find a way to trade Nick, it's like they can still kind of retool around Harper, Trey, if Stott, Bowman, Marsh, and even like Kepler are doing good enough and you keep them, and the young pieces, you can like still retool and maybe just sign people to replace some of those guys, to like still retool this team and be competitive and open a new window. But like the window with this current core is really closing soon, and I think they know that. They know that, like, hey, there's a chance that Kyle doesn't re-sign with us, or this team doesn't offer Kyle a contract to come back with us. There's a chance Nick gets traded, even if he does pretty well because of the money. There's a chance that, like, they start moving different players around, just to make changes. So it's like, I feel like they have that on their mind, and they're going to carry that into the season with a fire lit under them, But, of course, that is not the end, because as we know, there was a game yesterday. So now let's get into that game. And I didn't get to watch most of it as it was airing because I was at work. But, boy, were those first 6 innings really making me rethink my hope for this team. 13 Ks to Mackenzie Gore. Marsh 0 for 4 on the day with 4 Ks. Stott 0 for 4 with 2 Ks. Man, was I really reconsidering? I was like, oh, my gosh, there goes this team swinging at pitches, not doing anything. Trey 0 for 4 on the day with a walk, 1 strikeout. Oh my gosh, man, this team was getting to me. But thankfully, a lot of guys came up big, especially. So 6 innings, they aren't able to muster pretty much anything, and then they take Mackenzie Gore out, and boom, Harper goes yard, Kyle Schwarber goes yard. And then I forget how the third run scored, but we took the lead. And then Jordan Romano comes in. And this is what I was talking about, the whole relying on him, because you're just kind of a bit worried. But Jordan Romano comes in. Walk. Hit by pitch. I think there was like a double steal. And then Abrams had a ground out, which, allowed for the guy on third to score and the guy on second to go to third. He strikes out the next guy looking, so like, oh, okay, 2 outs. Boom. Single, scores that guy. But then he was able to get out, but still, we're up 3-1. He lets up 2 runs, all because he walked the guy and then hit the other guy. And, so you're kind of like, iffy. I tune in at work, finally, because I got the opportunity to. Alec Bohm singled. Then there was 2 outs. Then Max Kepler got walked. Then Nick Castellanos got walked. I'm like, look at this. Bases loaded in the 9th. We have an opportunity. Bryson Stott flies out to center field. Bases loaded. 3 runners left on base, man. Come on. But Jose Alvarado comes in. Strikeout swinging. Strikeout looking. Ground ball. This man looking like his old self. Then extra inning starts. There's a strikeout from Brandon Marsh. There's a pop fly from Trey Turner. They walk Harper, so now him and Stott are both on base. And Alec Bohm comes through with a big old double to score both Stott and Harper. Then Kyle Schwarber walks, and then JT triples, which allows Bohm and Kyle to score. Puts us up 7-3. Matt Strong comes in, closes this game out, and we get the first win of the season, starting off 1-0. Great stuff, but would have liked to see a lot more of that in the first 6 innings. Mackenzie Gore is a good pitcher, obviously, but 13 Ks, guys. Come on. Like, it shouldn't have been that much. Marsh, Stott, Turner were just... I mean, the entire team was just swinging. Pitching wise, Zach Wheeler. Come on, man. What else do we expect? 6 innings pitched, only 2 hits allowed, only 1 earned run allowed, 8 strikeouts on the day. My GOAT, man. My GOAT. Kirk Green came in, held it down. Wow, they classified the Jordan Romano inning as a blown save, even though it happened in the 8th. That's pretty crazy to look. But yeah, Wheels doesn't get the win. But quality start out of him. Really appreciate it, man. Wheels is the best, man. I'm so glad to have a pitcher like him on our team. And then now we look forward to the next 2 games because, of course, on my day off, I don't get to watch a Phillies game. No, they skip Friday for some reason. I am a bit weirded out by the way this rotation is going. Jesus Luzardo is expected to start tomorrow. And then Sunday, that's when I think Nola starts. And then Christopher Sanchez. Now, the Christopher Sanchez one makes sense to me because I was telling my dad he had better numbers at home. So I think that's why they want him to open a series at home rather than like Luzardo. So I think that's why Luzardo's getting to start tomorrow, then Nola, then Sanchez. And then... Oh, there's no game on Tuesday, but on Wednesday there is. And Wheeler will probably pitch again, yeah, because he'll have his days off. But yeah, very interesting. 2 more games against the Nationals, 3 against Colorado. And dang, then we got 3 against the Dodgers and then 3 against Atlanta. Man, you got to stack up those wins as quick as possible. You know, really, I sweep the Nationals, sweep the Rockies so you can start out 6-0. So that if you take a loss to the Dodgers, if you take a loss to Atlanta, it doesn't affect you that much, you know. But yeah, I'm very hopeful of this team. I really believe we can make a run. I really am hopeful and confident in this team. I'm gonna stop rambling now, though. As much as my dad would appreciate a super long episode, even if it's just me rambling, we'll just close it up here, man. I'm super confident in this team. I'm very excited. I don't want to see more of what they did in those first 6 innings against the Nationals, but yeah, I'm super excited for this team, man. I'm very excited for baseball to be back, and maybe it's just because of the high from the Eagles winning the Super Bowl, but I'm just kind of confident and hopeful for this team right now, and I'm just super excited. I don't know when the next Philly Talk will come. I want to try and be consistent, but we'll see what happens. But hey, the next time I see you, hopefully we'll be talking a lot more about this Phillies team just looking really good. I'm super excited. I'm really excited to see the way a lot of these guys play. You know, I'm very excited to see, you know, the development of, you know, some of our guys, like hoping that they can just put it all together this season. You know, hoping to see a lot better out of Marsh and Stott especially. I really hope, you know, even though it seems like a lot of us are against him, I really hope Bohm gets that confidence, you know, and, you know, just has a really great season. I'm just very excited for his team, if you can't tell. But thank you all for joining me this one. Catch you on the next one.